Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Snyder Inc. Wrestling. I know the people who subscribe to this channel are probably annoyed that I'm not very active on this channel. And I understand. I actually do understand that. Unfortunately, I have to work on a lot of different stuff, YouTube-wise. I have this channel of Snyder Inc. My original channel, I have my E-Fed thingy wrestling related called KXW, and I got focused on that. I have my own life, so unfortunately this channel is not the one that gets a lot of love. It's just the way it is, but we got stuff going on here. We're gonna do another reaction. This is the 10 greatest wrestling WWE Championship Reigns of all time. We're gonna get right into this. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Let's go.
It is a damn shame that the attitude.
Oh crap, hold on. I forgot I muted this last time because I needed to watch something and someone was asleep. There you go.
It is a damn shame that the Attitude Era consisted of rapid title changes to the point that it is difficult to isolate individual reigns as being great. Like, obviously Steve Austin was a great WWE champion, but his best reign on top is interrupted by the one-day reign of Kane. So when you wonder to yourself where the likes of Steve Austin and The Rock are, that's where, trapped in an endless loop of hot potatoing the belt around. That isn't to say all of the best WWE Championship reigns in history have to be long. I personally love a short and quality title reign, but a lengthy body of work sure does help when the performances the champions are having are as good as the ones on this list. Next week we will go over the worst go-arounds with the WWE.
Oh god, let me think. Who's gonna be on the worst? Jinder Mahal, Bray Wyatt. I'm just gonna make a guess. I'll see if I'm right here. This is not for this list. This is for the worst. The worst will have Jinder Mahal, Bray Wyatt. Maybe they probably won't be on here. Undertaker 2002. Despite how short it was, they did, you know. Those are three I have, mainly. Those are the first three. Those are my three that would, I guess, be on here.
Cummerbund, but let's start with some positivity.
But for the best, let me see. We're gonna have Bruno, obviously. Roman, obviously. Actually, I'll just see.
First, I'm Tempest, hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are the 10 best WWE Championship reigns of all time. Before I get on with this list, make sure, of course, that you like this video and subscribe. Enable notifications to always
hit the like and subscribe button for me. Let's get this channel growing. The more this channel grows, the more I can focus on it. Give it subscribe. Subscribe, please.
on so you never miss a list just like it. All of the stuff that we have right now, there's another survival series on partsFUNknown. It's all about that content, hashtag content, all of the content for you fine subscribers. Subscribe if you haven't, watch survival series, we gotta get moving. Honorable mention, Drew McIntyre. All around me.
Oh, yeah, I bet you Drew would be on the list if it wasn't during the pandemic era. He probably wouldn't have had that bad of a, it wouldn't be on honorable mention. He probably would have been on the actual thing itself.
We are robotic faces, empty places. Yeah, Drew McIntyre's moment couldn't have come at a worse time, finally being crowned WWE Champion with not one single fan cheering for him in the building because of the worst stretch of time in many of our lifetimes. It's always going to be near impossible to give anything positive that happened during this time the flowers that they deserve, because that would involve watching any of it again, and I simply won't. But the biggest of props must be given to Drew McIntyre for having the hardest job to do of any WWE Champion there's ever been. Number 10, Randy Savage. Had Randy Savage not had to play second fiddle to Hulk Hogan during his year-long.
I've never actually watched most of Randy Savage's champion, except for the other match with Hogan, like the top where he loses it. I need to watch more stuff. I need stuff to review. I need to start reviewing stuff on this channel. That probably will be what I start doing on this channel.
long title reign, this would have placed even higher on this list. Savage is unquestionably one of the greatest performers in the history of wrestling and is one half of maybe the greatest WrestleMania build WWE ever did, with the mega powers uniting and eventually exploding. To be fair, that is the bulk of this year-long reign. This wasn't the era in which champions were defending their titles on pay-per-views, and as such, all of Savage's best title defenses came on smaller shows. But what set Savage apart as champion was this storyline of jealousy and mistrust, and if you know anything about Randy Savage in real life, you know that role was cast to perfection. Considering
Hulk Hogan, I'm gonna stick with the seven. Hulk Hogan is the biggest heel in the history of wrestling, while being a babyface also. He's good in 97 when he's actually a heel. But in 1980s, in the 80s, Hogan was the greatest heel, and none of us even knew it.
Savage was the first WWE champion not named Hulk Hogan of the WrestleMania era. He was a huge part of a lot of people's fandoms and is regarded incredibly highly because of it. Hogan absolutely would not stay out of the f***ing way, but such is the case with anything involving Hulk Hogan, really. Number 9, AJ Styles. A perfect example.
This is one that's forgettable. You all forget, like, I don't mean like in a bad way. We all just forget how good AJ was as champion. Because it was just during a time frame where a whole bunch of fucking nothing was going on. Y'all just, it was just one of those title reigns y'all forget about.
Example of quality over quantity is the case of two-time WWE champion AJ Styles. Styles is another champion who can boast having a full go around the sun with the world's most impractical belt strap, but his year-long reign isn't the subject of this entry. That reign was not treated with a great amount of respect, as he engaged in a dick-kicking contest with Shinsuke Nakamura and a feud with Samoa Joe that had a few screwy finishes too many, all of which took place away from the main event of any WWE pay-per-view. His 2016 reign was the opposite. Just under 5 months of being the best wrestler in the world with the belt to prove it. This is when Styles was at his best in WWE. Always the highlight of the show, the focal point of the show, with 3 rivalries playing out at the same time between he and Dean Ambrose, James Ellsworth, and John Cena respectively. Deadly serious and extremely comedic all at once. AJ Styles, WWE champion. Even all this time later, it doesn't get any less weird to say. Number 8, Daniel Bryan. What's the asshole?
The new Daniel Bryan, because that reign is fantastic. It's that reign that made a lot of wrestling fans remember just how good Daniel Bryan is as being just a disgusting human being as a bad guy.
Version of Captain Planet, because if you can't give me a better answer in 5 seconds, that distinction will forever go to eco-warrior Daniel Bryan. It is and always will be mad to me that Daniel Bryan, miraculously coming out of an early retirement, had to turn heel in order to be booked well, but once he was, my god, finally able to have a long run as WWE champion, not cut short by...
It's just insane to think, imagine saying in 2018, like around WrestleMania when he came back, imagine saying by the end of 2018, Daniel Bryan would have turned heel, turned into a bad guy, and become WWE champion. Insanity.
Shenanigans or injury, Bryan was a perfect heel champion, presenting himself as what WWE so rarely does with their heels, being an incredibly talented wrestler, but also a prick. With incredible title defenses against AJ Styles at TLC, all the people Samoa Joe ran down in that one promo everyone shares incessantly on Twitter at Elimination Chamber, and Ali and Kevin Owens at Fastlane, Bryan did some of his best character work, blaming all of us for destroying the planet like the vile heathens we are. As always, the best kind of heels are the ones that are justified in their heeldom but are being dicks about it. But while it started as Bryan in a cardigan preaching about global warming, it became Bryan being a hypocrite trying to keep Kofi Kingston beneath him with the same criticisms WWE had once levied against him years earlier before dropping the title in the best match of WrestleMania 35. The Yes Movement may have been more iconic, but in terms of a run being done on purpose, this might be the best of Bryan's WWE career and definitely his best title reign. Number 7, CM Punk. Man, I wish I could put this reign higher. 434 days as WWE.
Problem is, he never main evented and the people he feuded with. Miz, R-Truth, Alberto Del Rio. Hold on. I'm sorry. Resident Prick, Alberto Del Rio. Dolph Ziggler. And then Ryback.
Champion was an inconceivable thought when CM Punk won the title at Survivor Series 2011, considering since the start of May that year, it had been the 8th time the WWE title had changed hands. 9th if you consider the unification at SummerSlam. Yet Punk reigned for well over a year. He had great matches with Chris Jericho and Daniel Bryan throughout 2012, but the problem with this reign was always pretty simple. CM Punk was the WWE Champion, but he wasn't the top guy. He wasn't going to be anywhere near the main event of a pay-per-view unless he was facing John Cena, or John Cena wasn't on the show. Punk versus Bryan? Nah, let's close with John Cena versus John Laurinaitis. Heads. That is what keeps it from ranking higher, but that's negative. What gets this reign onto the list in the first place? Well, it's the sheer amount of stellar performances this incredibly frustrated man gave over those 434 days. The Box with God promo against The Rock, that over-the-limit match with Daniel Bryan, serving as the catalyst for The Shield's introduction, all of the work he did alongside Paul Heyman, that time he said The Miz sucks on a lie detector. Truly iconic. Number 6, Bret Hart. When times were grim in the mid-90s, who did Vince McMahon turn to? When all the big, tall, and wide stars of the WWF missed the mark, who did Vince McMahon turn to? Bret Sargent Hart. Bret's first reign as WWF champion was good, having good matches at every turn, but he was mostly tasked with taking on upper mid-card talent like Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels due to the incredible
Don't you forget Hakushi. Don't you forget the greatness of Hakushi.
lack of top stars in the WWF at the time, with most leaving during the steroid trials. In 1994, however, Bret surpassed his own WWF Championship reign, delivering his best by continuing his legendary rivalry with his brother Owen. Bret carried the WWF through one of its most difficult eras ever simply by being undeniable. He was the best wrestler in the company, and at the time, making an argument on the contrary was near impossible. His SummerSlam cage match with Owen might be a bit dated by today's standards, but at the time was known as probably the best cage match ever. His iconic Raw match with the 1-2-3 Kid was during this reign, you know, the one with the head tilt. It's great. Bret might not have had the catalog of classic matches during this title reign like other champions on this list, but what he was able to do with what he had to work with puts this reign among the greats. Number 5, Triple H. For everything that all of your favorite wrestling YouTubers have to say about Triple H, all of it warranted, no one can ever take anything away from Triple H's 2000.
I might be the only wrestling YouTuber that never shits on Triple H, really. The only thing I'll ever shit on Triple H for is the Booker T thing. But that's not even on Triple H, that's the way they booked it. It's just really stupid. It was just bad booking. But I don't think I'll ever get mad at Triple H specifically.
Well, besides WrestleMania. No one can ever be perfect, I suppose. Steph's Wedding Crasher held world titles in WWE 14 times, and you will struggle to find very many of those reigns that are remembered fondly. However, that cannot be said about Triple H's WWE Championship reign to start the year 2000. This was the reign that really made this man a star. The Triple H Cactus Jack rivalry started the year and held on to the title of Best Rivalry of the Year. The Street Fight, the Hell in a Cell match, the Chris Jericho Dusty finish, and capping it all off with maybe the peak moment of the entire Attitude Era at Backlash. 2000 is maybe the best year WWE has ever had, and a big part of that comes from Triple H being the premier antagonist of the business with the work to back it up. Number 4, John Cena. There are a number of folks on the top half of this list that the fans who reside on the internet weren't big fans of during their heyday, like John Felix Anthony Cena Jr. From the time he won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 21, John Cena spent 26 of the next 30 months as WWE Champion. That is insane. Cena caught a lot of flack as a wrestler for not being particularly smooth in the ring during those years, and his character was a bit of an asshole, but that couldn't keep him from having a year-long title reign from Unforgiven 2006 until No Mercy 2007, and that being one of the greatest WWE Championship reigns of all time. This title reign contains Cena's bonkers fun feud with Umaga, his WrestleMania match, an hour-long Raw rematch with Shawn Michaels, one of the best four-ways ever with Shawn, Edge, and Randy Orton, an actually good pay-per-view match with Bobby Lashley, one of the only good singles matches Cena ever had with Randy Orton at SummerSlam, partially due to fans not being bored out of their skulls by having to watch it 20 more times. It is just a solid-ass run from a guy you would not expect to be able to have a solid-ass run. You wouldn't expect him to be able to diversify.
Now that he brought it up, I forget that reign actually, yeah. Now that he brought it up, I think it's actually really good. No one brings it up, that no one talks about.
his title matches for an entire year, but John Cena did it. This reign always felt to me like the time the torch was really passed to Cena, particularly at WrestleMania 23, and it is a shame this title reign only ended with an injury and not with Cena having a chance to climb even higher up this list. Number 3, Roman Reigns. Well, I'll be damned. The current WWE Championship reign places awfully high on this list now, doesn't it? The focus of Roman's reign has been put on the Universal Championship, as that is the title he's been holding for 1,000 days plus. But as I say this, Roman Reigns has been WWE Champion for over 440 days, the longest reign since a certain someone helped launch WrestleMania. And when you consider that the bulk of what people have loved the most about the Bloodline story, with all the Sami Zayn business and the Usos' inner turmoil, came since Roman won that belt at WrestleMania 38, I don't think it's outrageous at all to consider the reign Roman is having right now one of the very best WWE Championship reigns there's ever been. His matches keep being top tier, and this is by far the most invested people have been in a storyline involving a WWE champion in years. As in the actual reign of a champion. Everyone got up for Kofi and Bryan winning their titles at WrestleMania, but the epic story of the Bloodline that everyone and their manager Chuck from Subway have been raving about came with Roman as WWE champion. Good enough for a top 3 finish, I reckon. Number 2, Hulk.
One has to be Bruno then. Obviously, number 1 has to be Bruno. Number 2 is Hogan. Number 1 has to be Bruno. And yeah, Roman's reign is incredible. It's still the most talked about thing. It gets, what, 3, like, the current Bloodline stuff gets, what, 3 million views on, each week, anytime on the screen, which says a lot, since in fact, like, nothing else can even reach that number. The Bloodline is the main attraction to WWE. And they know it, too, which is what makes it great.
Hulk Hogan. Before I begin, I must preface this entry by saying Hulk Hogan. All my homies hate Hulk Hogan. It is a sad day for me whenever I have to praise Hulk Hogan for anything, but there really isn't any way Hogan isn't sitting near the top of this mountain. I'm not going to say that Hogan's cartoon 80s WWF style of wrestling is for me, or many of you watching this list, but this is an entry that is not reliant on match quality whatsoever. Hogan was wrestling in the minds of a generation, and his first reign as WWF champion lasted over 4 years. He was the face of WrestleMania and an invaluable piece of the puzzle that was that show's formation. Hogan is still considered the most successful WWE star of all time. Granted, a good portion of that comes from Hogan leaving the spotlight about as gracefully as Ned Flanders being dragged through a psych ward, but those who break records involving longevity rarely let go of that success willingly. Hogan's 1,474-day reign as WWE Champion took fans through the first 3 WrestleManias, including WrestleMania 3 and his match with Andre the Giant, still one of the most financially successful matches in WWE history. But hey, if longevity is what you're looking for, do I have a WWE Champion for you? Number 1, Bruno Sammartino.
You're goddamn right, he's number 1. No matter what, he will be number 1 when it comes to WWE Championship.
Sammartino. During my time in university, I saw the same NBA final every single year. The Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors 4 years in a row. And I thought that was madness. Now, imagine all the little New York wrestling fans who made it all the way through middle school and high school with only one WWF champion. 2,803 days. Nearly 8 years of setting truly untouchable records with the title and with Madison Square Garden for Bruno Sammartino. Loads of matches have brought fans into a frenzy throughout wrestling history. There have only been a few matches that have silenced the crowd, like Bruno Sammartino losing the title to Ivan Koloff in 1971. Oh, to be able to experience that moment, with the MSG crowd shocked into complete silence, having witnessed the unthinkable outcome of Bruno losing. That was a testament to the love people had for Bruno and the success that he had as champion. And if you needed more proof, you have 8 years worth of evidence that Bruno Sammartino's first reign was the very best WWE Championship reign of all time. And that's our list.
Insane. Insane. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this reaction video. Let me know who your favorite WWE champion is in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.